And we are live.
Hey everybody, welcome to Portfolio Reviews Live Now, episode 27. I'm your host, RT Bear, and I'm going to break some spirits and will of some future artists. I'm going to tear them down to make them stronger and better artists. No, I'm gonna do just as nice as I can be, but we're gonna talk about artwork, and I'm gonna do some reviews of some future artists. And I will be as nice as I can humanly possibly be. So, as always, we have Taylor Grosso with us. Taylor?
Hi, everybody. I'll be reading your chat if you have questions for Art/comments. How are you doing today, Art?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. It's a beautiful rainy day in California.
You know what? Everywhere else in the country, when it rains, no one's like, ooh, cool. They're just like, it's just raining. But in California, we're all like, yeah, it's raining. Look, it's different outside.
Real weather.
Because it never rains here. So, yeah, it actually stormed pretty good last night. Thunder and lightning.
It was pretty cool.
Were you very frightening?
Actually, I was, because it's been so long since I've heard thunder that I didn't know what it was at first. And I thought somebody crashed into my car. So when I heard it lasted like a minute. Like I ran outside to see if my car was okay, and I didn't realize it was like pouring rain.
Yeah, it rained pretty good. Yeah.
We need it out here.
The thing is, we had fires maybe a year ago. So the only bad thing is there's a lot of dirt coming off. We live in a hilly area here in California, so there's a lot of dirt coming down, but that can be cleaned up. We need the water.
Yeah.
We don't have any water.
We're in a drought. That's why it costs so much to live here.
Yeah, that, and everybody wants to live here because it never rains and it doesn't snow and the weather's always perfect.
And In-N-Out.
Yeah, an In-N-Out burger. If you guys have never had an In-N-Out burger, then you got to come to California.
Con says the Florida-Georgia line is Waterworld.
It's beautiful, like once you get like the southern and Florida, because it rains a lot, and everything's so green and the sky is blue. It's crazy. But you guys have humidity. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the bugs. I don't like humidity. Taylor, to go outside in the summertime, most Florida homes, they have like outdoor rooms and they're like screened in.
Oh, I've seen those in movies. I've never been to Florida.
Yeah, because you can't really go outside, because if you go outside, you're going to get destroyed by the bugs. Yeah.
I found that out the hard way. It's not the same, but I went to Chicago recently and everything's very green there, and I wanted to go see fireflies. And I got bit horribly by a bunch of mosquitoes, because apparently fireflies eat mosquitoes. So,
Ooh, cool.
So if you see fireflies, it means that mosquitoes are out, I guess.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Because I don't like mosquitoes. Those things hurt.
Yeah, they're not fun. We don't get them a lot out here.
Yeah, because we don't have any moisture. It's the dry state. Yeah, it's very desert climate. It's a desert type climate. It's not quite desert, but it's a desert type climate.
Apparently, according to Con, dragonflies also eat mosquitoes. I did not know that.
We have a pool here, so we get dragonflies. It's pretty cool. So they hang around the pool area.
Bright red.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Okay, so 27. Can you believe it, Taylor? 27 episodes already.
No, I remember when we first started this, and we're still trying to adjust the camera to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, YouTube. Your preview system's really weird.
Yeah, this is odd, and we're using an iPad to film this. And I don't know who designed the iPad, but the camera just, where the hell is it? Like, you can't focus. Like, you look at the viewfinder and you're like, oh, okay, snap the shot. No, and then it's over to the left or the right or somewhere else. It's like, this is crazy. This isn't even intuitive. Like, who? I don't know.
The chat says we've come a long way.
Oh, thanks. Well, the thing is, like, just put the camera in the center of the iPad. Why does it have to be over in the one corner or the other?
Blame Steve Jobs, says Con.
I would if he was still alive.
we can still blame him, I guess.
Wake the dead! Hey, Steve Jobs!
Thanks a lot, Jobs.
You just pull him out of his grave and give him a bitch slap.
Ooh, he's gonna show up on All Hallows Eve, super mad about this.
I think that's why I'm going off now. That'd be cool. Steve Jobs at your door, begging for candy. Ding dong. Hey, it's Steve Jobs. Bitch slap him.
You can tell because that kids are dressed up like him wearing a black turtleneck. That's all we ever saw him wear.
Those big bug eyes and the glasses, receding hairline. I want my candy.
The hottest costume this year.
The Steve Jobs costume. The eye products will take over the world. That should be a horror movie. Wow. We turned the Steve Jobs story into a Halloween horror story, Taylor.
Do you think they buried him in his turtleneck and jeans? I hope so. So the chat.
It would be fitting.
Well, we got some people in the chat now, so.
He also tucks his shirt in, doesn't he?
I think he does.
That's weird.
That's a bold move with the turtleneck.
That's a skinny guy move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also just what, a 1970s move or 60s move.
If he wore a belt, it would be really 60s.
I think he does wear a belt.
Oh no!
I want to find a photo of Steve Jobs now.
The chat claims Con says no belt.
No belt. Well, that's good then. Yeah.
It'd be a bold move.
It would be awesome, those big wide 70s belts. And then they were like white and they had the big belt buckles on them.
The square silver belt buckle.
Steve Jobs, he's going retro.
Giant silver apple as a belt buckle.
Oh no. You know what? They're going to start marketing that. You know what? I could see that now.
I could totally picture it.
Man.
Steve Jobs actually kind of looks a little bit like the foreman from Chrono Mechanics if his hair was more tame.
And he had a bit more of a point to the nose. Okay.
How did we get here?
I don't know. It's been a long week, people. It's been a long week. I don't know. The more sleep deprived Taylor and I get, I think we get more fun.
Yeah, I think it's entertaining.
Yeah, I think we're more entertaining. So let's look at this right off the bat. Crotch shut.
Walloped.
That dude's, is he falling through the roof? Well, let's look at it first.
I think he got punched.
I like this.
This is called, I don't see a name. It's just, the label is the flag.
And we're giving more showcase, right, Taylor? So there's 2 pages, I think, for the flag.
Yeah, there's 2 people and each person gets 2 pages as a showcase.
Oh my gosh, this looks kind of like an old, like Marvel style. That one face looked very, face right here.
It looks kind of, oh my gosh.
Don Heck. It looks like a Don Heck drawing from the 70s.
It's definitely going for an old school vibe.
Or John Buscema. Like they did these in those days, like the Marvel books. They would do these crazy cheekbones.
You always saw that on Thor.
Yeah, all the guys had these crazy cheekbones. It was the decade of the cheekbone. All right. Okay, so let's try to figure the storytelling out, and then we'll get into trying to help.
Con in the chat digs the style. It's kind of an interesting departure.
Yeah, it's really bold. Okay, Taylor, I think this guy getting whacked with the paper. Who do you think that guy is? There's only 2 characters or 3 characters?
He's the guy getting walloped. What happened to the other guy's hat? Because the guy with the hat on looks like he turned and punched it. Oh, his hat's flying off his head. Okay.
Okay, so who got hit with the paper though?
That guy.
Chef guy?
I think he's just because look at his hair. He must be sitting next to him. There's no establishing shot, but I think he's sitting next to him at the counter.
This is really kind of bizarre. Okay, so here's the counter, here's a patron, and here's the chef.
The only reason I think it's the chef because the chef's reacting in the bottom, but
but this guy's reading the paper, and he looks like he's getting whacked with the same paper. But then this guy shows up.
So I guess he's getting smacked with the paper.
So maybe this guy whacked this guy with the paper. No?
No, I think it looks like in the first panel the guy that hat's holding the paper. I think.
Yeah, but then.
And then he hit. The problem, I don't know.
I don't know if he's getting hit or if it's getting pulled away from him. Because the action lines, that's one thing about action lines, guys, that there's those little secondary lines that help to tell the direction.
Maybe that's
of
why.
it.
I
But
think that's why I couldn't tell.
well, no, they're going this way. So it looks like it's flying towards him, not away. Because the action lines would be on this side, right?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm not sure what the storytelling is, so right off the bat, it's a little confusing. There may be an establishing shot in front of this page that we didn't get.
This is page 1, though.
Is it?
It's labeled page 1 anyway.
Okay. Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, the chat's having a hard time, I think, reading the storytelling.
Yeah, I think an establishing shot would have helped clarify. Because this guy looks like a patron as well.
Yeah.
So maybe he's sitting at the bar with the guy with the hat. And then somehow he's getting sucked out into the skylight, or
because it looks like he's getting punched, but his body's covering.
Oh, this guy's punching him.
I think so.
Oh, the fist.
Yeah, but his body's covering him, so you can't really read it. And his hat's flying off, so he's the guy with the hat.
You know, let's look at the other page. I'm seeing some. Do you think? Oh, this is just this isn't in sequence.
This is
no,
page
it
2.
is.
Yeah, this is kind of confusing.
Yeah, this is I'm sorry, Flag. This is getting very confusing. So that guy punches him. He flies into, looks like a booth, and so there's two people at the booth, and so those two people aren't these two people.
I don't know who those two guys are supposed to be.
So these guys are like, you're a jerk, whatever. And so they're like, oh, there's going to be a fight. Let's take a bunch of pictures. And so then he's like, I'll pay you $100. Is that $1?
I think that is $100. It's several $100. He has like 3.
Here, clean up the mess. And so then the guy running the eatery is like, oh, my, hey. What happened? There's Commissioner Gordon right there.
It's weird because it's like an old school style, but then these guys are all recording it on like modern cell phones. And it's weird to see like something modern like that in this style.
Yeah, I like the style. I like the retro feel of it. I think the storytelling is really confusing though. At least for me. Are you guys as confused as I am?
Yeah, people in the chat were saying the storytelling's a little murky.
Well, also, if he punches this guy's flying right towards the grill. Like
he's going behind the counter.
He's flying behind the counter. The booths are behind this guy. So if he's punching him, this guy... Also, by the way, he's punching him. He's
flipping over.
He's like 10 feet in the air.
Yeah, if this is...
But he's going up. He's not going sideways.
He is. If this is your piece of artwork, it is labeled page 1 and 2. So I'm assuming this is sequential.
Yeah, because this guy goes flying over. Which also, just when you guys do stuff like this in the future, so let's just say this is exactly what he intended, that this guy is up in the air. Have this guy punch him like he's punching, like an uppercut. You know what I mean? Like he's punching up, like this. And so then it would at least give a reason why this guy is so far up in the air. Like he's lifted him up, like hitting him under the chin. And he's getting air, but the punch looks like he's just punched him straight across.
Yeah,
so if this guy was here and he's punching him, he would just go right into the counter. Like his head would be down in the counter. If he was sitting there, and he wouldn't even probably fall over the counter. And also, you guys have already figured this out. That's a hell of a punch. So that guy's got to be super powered somehow. But then we go over here, and then this guy's flying like straight into these guys.
And he's not going up.
So if he got airborne, he would kind of do a loop. He'd go whoosh, and then right into the table. So yeah, there's a couple storytelling things going on here.
Khan says this person has talent, but yeah, he's got to work on his storytelling.
Yeah, just the clarity. The layout's good. You know, the layout's pretty interesting. Just the clarity of it is odd. So I think we get the gist of the story, but it's very confusing. And Jim Shooter told me He said, if you confuse the reader or they have to stop to figure out what's going on, then you failed as a storyteller, because you should never ever have to question what you're looking at. You should be able to identify it quickly and then move to the next panel and then move to the next panel, because if you have to think about it, then it's pulling you away from the story. So always remember that when you tell these stories. As artsy-fartsy as we want to be sometimes, try not to disassociate from the story. Try not to alienate the reader, and try not to confuse, because the more direct, this is very visceral storytelling usually, especially superhero comics, and it's very direct because there's not a lot of time for subtlety in comics, because it's a very limited space, a very limited time to tell the story. So the clearer you can make the story and the faster you can move it along, the better. Usually, unless you really want to slow down the story, and you can do that as well.
Yeah, I think that's solid advice. Hi, Sketch Therapy, and everybody joining us just now in the chat. We got a little influx.
Yeah, Taylor and I have learned that we're going to kind of like talk a little bit at the beginning of the show instead of getting right into the show, to try to give time to everybody to come in. Because sometimes, I don't know how the notifications work. And didn't you say, Taylor, somebody was saying that the notifications aren't working?
Yeah, somebody was saying that they didn't get a notification of us going live. And I guess it's a kind of a common thing happening on YouTube right now. So I guess it's not with us specifically. But make sure you have the bell hit for notifications. I don't know if it's something they fixed yet or not. But I guess a lot of people going live, their subscribers aren't getting notifications, so keep an eye on that. Maybe hit the bell on and off just to be sure.
Yeah, and also you guys, we're trying to give a little bit of notice on our Twitter, on my Twitter. It's just my name, right? RT Bear.
Yeah, at RT Bear. So make sure you follow that, and we'll keep you guys up to date on there as well when we go live.
Yeah, we try as much as possible, and usually we give a little bit of notice for these portfolio reviews because I think people really like them. And they probably have the most universal appeal, at least for comic book fans. Yeah, so this is the establishing shot here. So what I would have done, I think, just to help this, is have a page 1 before this. So this would be page 2. And maybe do it as a splash page or a big establishing shot with maybe a couple small dialogue panels. So what I would have done, I can't draw it, but let's just say, it's 11 by 17, it's the page layout, and you have a big splash of this guy sitting at the bar, this guy sitting at the bar, or this guy is, maybe this guy looks like he might be coming up to this guy because he's behind him. Mm-hmm. So let's just say in the establishing shot, you have these two guys just kind of talking. So there's a big shot. You see everybody, like all those people that are in this booth here.
Yeah, because you don't
all these characters and stuff. Have them in that setup page. So in that big splashy panel, like let's say it's about this big, right? So you have an establishing, you have all of the patrons in the cafe, and then you have these two guys talking. And so then maybe you have some panels, like maybe 2 or 3 across the bottom. And so then you have like these two guys talking. So you establish they have like some kind of rapport. And so, excuse me. And then the last panel, maybe you show this guy coming in the door, this guy right here. So you have him come in the door, but he's just coming in the door, so he doesn't seem like there's nothing, he's just going to come and eat. You don't know he's going to pick a fight or anything like that. So then the next page is this panel still. But you've already established this guy. He's coming into the, he's got a bone to pick, right? And then you've already established the punk rock guy, this muscle guy, and then all these people, Commissioner Gordon, and then, and then also this door right here would have been that establishing door. So I kind of like storytelling this way, where you kind of hearken back to a shot. So he's leaving out that door, and then this guy was coming in that door, to set up the scene. So you kind of have like this kind of beginning end to the scene, all with that door. So yeah, so then it looks like, I think what this guy's doing is grabbing the paper from him. That's what I think he's doing. What do you think, Taylor?
I think that guy was sitting next to him at the diner drinking, and he got hit by that guy's newspaper.
But he's holding. This is the guy with the cap,
No,
right?
I think that's the guy
That's
is
this
in the next
guy.
panel. Yeah, without the cap.
Oh, okay.
I think. But like you said, I think it would really help because it's weird. In the very bottom panel, you see the diner, but you don't see any of those people that are on the next page. So like you said, it would be really helpful to kind of get just a layout idea of where everybody is. And I think that like using that door would probably be the easiest way too.
Because you have the bar, and then you have the door, so you can. Those are your little landmarks in the scene.
Yeah.
But this guy's behind him now. Like if he was sitting side by side, he would be right over here.
I think he's supposed to be side by side them, but he looks like he's behind. Oh,
That's why I was thinking he was walking in.
Yeah, I thought he was too, but I'm pretty sure that's him because his collar and it looks like it's him sitting next to him getting hit by the paper. Although I don't know why his visceral reaction was to punch him. Yeah, it's very unclear.
Yeah, because if this guy's whacking this guy in the paper and then he whacks him again, like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah, it's not a very good guy move.
What did that guy do to you? And the only reason why I was thinking this guy is the thug is because he looks like a thug. This guy looks like he's minding his own business, hanging out with the guy going to get a burger and reading the newspaper. Like, just minding his own business.
I mean, either way, he still punches the guy for approaching him.
Yeah. Weird. Now I want to read this. I want to find out what's going on.
Yeah, I wish the person who like did this was in the chat so they could explain so we could see how far like off or on we are.
I'm totally engaged now. I'm trying to figure this out. All right, so I don't know. I'm thinking, for me, it seems like this is my story. Okay, it might not be the story this guy was trying to tell, but this guy came in the previous page. He's got a mat on, right? This guy's minding his own business, going to eat, hanging out with the guy. You know, they're having a good time. This guy comes and grabs the newspaper from him out of his hands. And so then he's behind him now. And he's like, hey, buddy, whatever. And he's like, what? What are you doing? You know, like, who are you? Or whatever the thing is. And so then he says something really insulting. So then he whacks him, you know, because now there's a reason. He took his newspaper. He's calling him out. And so now this guy, I guess, has a reason to pop him.
He had to say something pretty bad.
Yeah, because it's happening really quick. But
if this is our hero.
Right. I'm sure there's some kind of backstory context to this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just come in and, you know, pick a fight with somebody. Or do you? I don't know. I don't. And so then this punch, I'm sorry, you know, the flag, this does not work at all.
No.
This panel is cool dynamically, but he's being punched right at this grill. So that could be funny if he landed on the grill or something like that.
That's what it seems like where it's leading. That's why the second page, if it didn't say second page, I wouldn't think it took place right after this.
And then this is where artistically I'm going to bust your hump. There's some, let's see. Okay, so your eye, we did a storytelling lesson, so now we're going to do an art lesson. And sometimes I'm wrong here, guys, so that's why, you know, I know how to do this. I'm forgetting how to do this. If I hit this, then I'll get a true straight line.
There we go.
All right, so let's go a little thinner for these lines. So let's just say it looks like the vanishing point is somewhere in here. So then you have your table. You have your table. So that looks good. And for me, okay.
Oh.
It is wrong. Okay, I knew it.
Man, you have quite the eye for that.
Okay, so because this grill started looking like it's dipping too far into the ground. So you can see the top of it is going, it's going kind of more in this direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if the hood, yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty good. Okay, now the hood, this top part, you can see it's not, well, hold on. I kind of screwed up here. Let's be more accurate. Yeah, it's still off. And then the wall back here. And then this wall here. Yeah, so you can kind of see how that 1 point perspective is supposed to work, and it's a little off. For me, I don't know. This wasn't as big of an offender, but this right here, all this is. And if this was more in perspective, I think this would look more solid and it would work. And if indeed this guy is pulling the paper, which I think you're right, Taylor. I think he's getting whacked with the paper.
But I also think they are going the wrong direction.
Yeah, but if this guy was getting the paper yanked from him, he wouldn't be holding a cup. But I don't know. I guess this guy's got jaggedy teeth, and he's got jaggedy teeth.
Yeah, and his,
so maybe
his jaw shape. He doesn't have the cleft. He has that.
Yeah, so maybe. So maybe there's an off-panel like crack, like he's saying something like, "Your mama wears army boots." You know, he's like, "No, she doesn't," and he whacks her with this guy with the paper. But still, it's weird that he's behind him here.
Yeah, he totally is positioned. I don't think that was their intent, but he is positioned where he is behind him.
Well, also the weird thing is if this guy's standing and this guy's sitting,
he'd be like on the.
He'd be way up here. He'd be like up here.
He's a giant.
Well, because this guy's sitting down.
Oh yeah.
So if he's standing up, he would be up here. Because he wouldn't be a giant. He would just be
tiny and low.
He would just be bigger. In this shot.
In this shot, he's tiny and low. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the thing is, if he's directly behind him, he's a little too small. I think he'd probably be about like his head would be this big, and he'd be more like that. And then tapping him on the shoulder here, like, "Hey, buddy." So then he's down here because he's still sitting down. What? Just whacked me in the head with a paper. Also, what would help, storytelling-wise, is if this is the guy got whacked with the paper, if you brought his shoulder down and then have, like, the paper in his hand, like, rolled up, and he's got a fist, like he's holding the paper, like, ah. Like, he's like, "Oh, you hit me in the face with a paper."
Storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling, and then he's tapping him on the shoulder to get his attention. Although, the story, like tapping him on the shoulder thing, I think it looks like he was tapping him because his finger, but that's also odd because he doesn't need to tap him on the shoulder because he was already sitting next to him. Yeah,
you think he could just turn and talk to him? Why would he stand up and?
I think that's also why I was thinking this guy just walked in.
Yeah, because he looks like he's walking from behind and grabbing his shoulder to get his attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, Flag. Yeah, and then perspective-wise...
It's okay. He sent it into you because he wanted your input.
Yeah. This is a little tip. Sometimes your vanishing point will not be on your page. And sometimes as artists, we want the vanishing point to be on the page. So we move things in perspective. It's too exaggerated. So I think if you found your, let's just say your eye level is up here somewhere, then your vanishing point would be way off screen over here. So I believe that if you had your vanishing point lined up in a better place, yeah, I don't know. I'm not, the horizon line or your eye level might be up, it should be up higher probably. Let me go back. So your eye level's probably up higher than I had it. So let's find this line, which I didn't find. Jeez Louise. Shays Louise. So, oh yeah, I did. It's just not. Wait, his line's off, right?
Yeah, I think
because this is the table.
Right the first time.
This is the table. So if you drew a line from here to here, yeah, he loses the table in here somewhere. It should be up here. Yeah.
Section.
So then, like I said, if your eye level is higher, which it should be, I think this line here for the booth should be less exaggerated. It should be more straight up and down, because it's implying that the eye level is lower, but if the eye level was lower, I don't think you would see as much
All of that
of the tops
interior,
of everything. Yeah. So
a lot of junk on that table.
yeah, this is a 2-point. Let me find this. Let's do it this way. So here's my only point of reference for here. Yeah, so actually your eye level is pretty high based on these tabletops. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm drawing a grid. I'm drawing a grid so you can kind of see how the perspective, and guys, gesture in what you want, but then always put these things on grids. It'll help. And then like this table right here.
The chat says, dang, Art, finding inconsistencies like an IRS agent.
Bump, 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 bump. That's my IRS music, although it was the Mission Impossible thing. So whatever. I'm an artist, not a musician. So yeah, so you can see, and also by doing this, this guy is not even in the same world as this guy. This guy is more in, even though these tables still, they look very tiny compared to this guy, the booths should be bigger. But let's just say this guy, he looks like he's, well, he is in reference or relationship to this counter. So yeah, I would move these booths back, make them bigger. And this guy, you would probably, let me get my other tool. I mean, he's not that far in front of the guy with the baseball cap. So he would probably be like in here somewhere. Possibly even he'd be smaller probably.
Is he turned on the wrong axis as well, or is he just too big?
He's not in perspective.
He looks
I'll show you. I'll answer your question. I'll get rid of this though. Okay, what happens is your eye, like it pans, like it fans out, because there's also, actually it is 2-point, but it would also have a vanishing point here, because it would fan out because you're looking down. So if you had your lines fanning out here, then this guy would be in here, and also, yeah, well, it would look like, let me see, like let's just say this is his head. The shoulders, like you wouldn't even hardly see a neck. So like his neck is under here. More of
a top view.
Yeah, you're looking, because the more away, the more you're looking down, and then the more it fans out, the longer the bodies will get. So let's just say here's a body here. So if you guys are following me, as it comes down, they get squattier. So you start looking more down on them and less. I wish I had, let's just say, let me see. I use this. Okay, here's the pin. So I hope you guys, you know what? I'm going to turn this light on. Oh, I actually had it on. So you're looking more down at the top of the pin here. So then as it goes across, you're looking at more
the body of
the pin. And then you're looking more at the top of the pin. You're looking more down on the pin. So the further it gets away, the more up and down it becomes, and the more this way, the more forced perspective it becomes. So you can kind of see, I mean, he still seems a little big in comparison to this guy, but it's more in perspective. And also sometimes you guys draw these bigger, like tape flaps, pieces of paper onto these, and then you can find your vanishing point off to the side of the sheet. And then also what helps is to draw past this. So if you establish the floor, then this floor is the same floor he's standing on. He's not any higher than this guy. So you can establish the floor behind the counter, and then you kind of can figure out where that guy should be in relationship to this guy and the rest of the diner. Also, now that I'm looking, I'm not sure if this guy is supposed to be sitting or standing. So I'm not sure if he's in a sitting position or a standing position. It kind of looks like he's in a standing position based on these chairs.
Yeah.
So if he's in a standing position, then his location looks correct. If he was sitting down, then what this guy was thinking is probably, well, maybe more correct, because then he would be higher up in the composition because he's standing and this guy's sitting. So always think of that too, your dynamics. If you have a character sitting and then you have a character standing, and then we've already established this, if he's, I mean, unless he established that there's more booths over here, maybe, which I don't know, because maybe if he's punching him, he's flying across here and there's a booth back here.
Everything's so close cropped, you kind of can't really tell any of the layout stuff.
So then maybe he's hitting him with such a super smack that he's flying over the bar and then past the bar and then into another booth. But once again, it's not really established that well. And let me find this tool. I think this should have way more whimsy to it. Like, I think this guy should be flying in. Well, let me do it again. He should be flying in like, whoosh. You know what I mean? Because he was high up in the air.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be flying straight this way. He would be flying more. Let me do this. He'd be like in the air and then coming down from the air in this direction. So then I think this is a missed opportunity, because if you think about it, you've seen this a million times in movies where these guys are eating, right? And then a guy from seemingly out of nowhere falls right smack dab in the center of the table, right? It's like they're taking a bite of their chicken fried steak or whatever, and then, you know, with gravy and and their cup of coffee. And then this guy, this big thuggy guy, because this guy looks huge actually in comparison to these two.
Yeah, he does.
Lands right in the center of the table. So to be honest, this thing, we can blow it up, but I can't make heads or tails out of most of this.
Yeah, that's the hardest one to read.
Yeah.
Also, that guy's arms position, I think that guy that's getting hit, his arm positions are kind of weird.
Yeah, he's landing right on this guy, but if these guys were sitting in this booth, it doesn't look like they were sitting in the booth.
That guy is landing on his arms back, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, like he's moving forward instead of away. Because if you're moving back away, storytelling-wise, if you want to show people moving back, put the arms in front. So then it implies he's moving in this direction. The way it is now, it looks like this guy's moving towards him instead of away from him. That was a good call, Taylor. But let me see if I can...
I'm learning too.
It's a learning with Art T. Bear. I do want to find a Bob Ross wig, you guys, and I want to do one of these as Bob Ross for Halloween.
You got to gesture at the screen using a paintbrush.
I'll get a big old paintbrush, and yeah, instead of my hand going in the screen. Hey Taylor, can you turn that overhead light on so maybe they can see my hand?
Yeah.
She might bump the table a little bit, so guys, yeah.
There we go.
So maybe when I come in here, you can see it better. Yeah. I realized I'm not Italian, but I talk with my hands a lot.
I wanted to ask when I first saw this page what you thought of it looks like almost every panel is like an open panel layout, and what you thought of that. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, I don't think you should do it as often as this is done. So
like
that's
every panel.
That's another good call. Okay, so I'm arbitrarily coming up with these lines. So let's just say, once again, way off panel is your vanishing point. Your eye level's higher. And the reason I'm making the eye level higher, because he doesn't have it higher. Okay, you know what? I should back up. Okay, so here's his table line. So this is kind of a straight on shot, like looking like your eye level's right here and you're looking almost straight on. Well, it's a little higher because you can see a little bit of the top of the table, but it's not quite a down shot. And this table is not serving this because the table's moving in the same direction. It's not a tangent, but it's not clear. So what I was thinking is if you raise the camera or eye level up higher, then what you could do is that idea that I was saying where he comes down into the center of the table. Actually, that's a little, I had it better before, a little too exaggerated. So let's just say this line right here becomes the table, the front of the table line. since I already drew all those perspective lines, if you guys can remember where those were, because I'm just going to draw the table in itself. So let's just say the table is here. It's a small table, but
Well, you only have so much room.
yeah, let's say it's a little bigger, like that. Ignore this other line. So, and then here's the side or front side, and then here's the side. Okay, so here's your table. So we established that. Here's your new booth back, your chair. So then it would just keep going off into perspective here, and then into perspective here. So you guys can kind of see now, see this guy? It looks more like he's landing in the center of the table.
Yeah.
So if you can, and draw through your characters, guys. So then, like, let's just, I'm going to be very comic booky here.
Prior to this, I don't even know where the table was indicated to be.
Yeah, I'll show it. See, this would be the impact, right? You know, like comic book. So here's your impact, where he's coming down in the center of the table. And also, these things work better if you set these guys up. You know, like if you set these guys up at the beginning, like that page, the imaginary page I was saying at the beginning, or if you show these guys eating, and then the next panel is this guy comes in the center of it, then it's funnier. Because
that would be funny.
This looks like it's supposed to be funny, to me anyway. So that's what I would do. And then, well, you know what? I was going to do something else here. Let's put this line back. So then your characters that were sitting at the booth would probably be more in here, you know. And so then this guy's sitting down. So I'm going to thicken this up because this is a little hard to read. So then this guy is like this, and then like this arm would be like, oh my, like he's holding it up. And then this arm could be up. Like he is, like Taylor said, like you're implying he's moving in this direction. He's moving away from this guy.
And you get his reaction.
Yeah, and his hands are up, like in a guarded, like this hand is in a guarded, because that's usually what you do. You guard yourself, and then this one implies that he's moving back. And then this guy right here, who's, I don't know, he's falling on him. It's kind of peculiar. He, like, if you find your other booth side in here somewhere, that's the back of the booth, then this guy would be like in here. Somewhere. Let me thicken this up so you can see it.
Yeah, that's better.
So he would be like here, and then his arms would be going up like, whoa, you know, whoa, what's going on, you know? And maybe make him like he's leaning and he's moving in this direction now. So then what you have is you have this guy moving this direction, you have this guy moving in that direction, and then you have this big guy coming in this direction, landing right in the center of the table. I just think that would be funnier. I hope you guys can understand like all this this drawing over things. And then what did you asked a question, Taylor?
Yeah, if you zoom out, the layout of this page, by the way, Title pointed out that woman's hand and I can't stop looking at it.
Which one?
The one on the right side, that one.
She may have 3 fingers. Is that?
Yeah, it looks very strange. But the layout of this page is really weird because it looks like every panel is one of those open panels where the figures are like touching a border, but no border exists. And it creates a weird shape at the bottom of the layout.
Yeah, it becomes hard to read because also there's no gutter between these two.
And I guess I was just wondering your thoughts on like I guess the purpose of gutters and layouts like this.
Yeah.
Like I guess purposeful, not using borders.
Yeah, sometimes it's an arbitrary, like just artsy thing to do. I think, I don't know. There's another problem, geez, with this. Because he's moving in this direction. And the only saving grace here to move your eye to the right is if this guy that I drew in is moving back. Because if he's moving back, then you have this movement coming over this guy, but then you have the patron that's eating moving from left to right over into this panel here.
Lead your eye over.
So it leads your eye over. The way it is now, it just leads your eye off the page. So there's nothing really to bring your eye back into the page. So that's kind of a little bit of a problem as well. So I'm trying to get into answering Taylor's question, but there's usually other explanation before you can get right to it. So let me do this in a different way. So let's draw that, and then because where I was going is once I do this, then what you could do to keep with Flag's idea is maybe open it up more like that. So keep the whole top open and then enclose it from where the booth is to where his arm is. So then you keep the top open, and also let's just say, since this is kind of an old school fun style, let's just say you, instead of these action lines coming in this way, you have this, well, I just screwed it up, going in this way or in this way, because he was getting quite some air.
Shows he got dropped.
Yeah, so he's almost being dropped into the panel. So then with this action line coming in this way, because these are definitely like fingers pointing this direction, you know, because he's going in this way right off the panel. So if it's more whimsical, he's dropping in and then the eye comes over this way, then it works. So it goes right to left and then left to right over into this panel. So I think that that's probably the most successful way you could remedy this. And also, I don't know, for some reason, I want to see a panel before this. So the page before that where he's getting whacked, I'd like to see just a small panel here, these two guys eating, just having a good conversation, just like something funny, like you just get a bit of their conversation, like, and then she did what? And then this guy just drops right into the into the table, the next panel. So I think that would be, I don't know. I'm finding this. I hope this is humorous, because to me it seems like a humorous kind of
I don't know why else
story.
I don't know why else you'd show him hitting the table with the guys there if it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then I think I would simplify maybe some of these action lines. Just a few. I'm not doing a great job of it, but you get the idea of. It's gonna be too thick. Too thick. I don't know, something like that. Very, very simple. Not as heavy. Usually these kind of heavy action lines imply some major impact, and he's not really. I mean, he's falling into a table, so it's a little overblown, and also this is a busy panel. There's a lot of stuff going on here. By the way, after saying that, you're pretty brave for trying to attempt something like this too.
Very ambitious.
Yeah, it's very ambitious. That would be a hard panel for even me to lay out. So I hope you got something out of that, Flag, because I think that if somebody showed me that when I was aspiring, I would have lost my mind. After I stopped crying. You know what? I gotta learn this. Okay, I'm gonna do this because it'll only let me go back so far. So if I duplicate, then I can erase some stuff. So then, all right. I don't know why these guys are getting irate. Unless this guy
just punched that stranger.
Yeah, unless this guy is already a punk. Like if this guy is a punk, going back to my setup page. my imaginary setup page, then maybe he's a neighborhood thug. Maybe he's a landlord. Maybe he's a jerk, right? So nobody in this neighborhood likes him. So then automatically these guys are like, I think they're calling...
The guy that punched him out.
Oh, they're calling this guy out.
I think so.
Oh, yeah, this is really hard.
Confusing. It's really hard to tell. But
then this guy's the innocent. God, for some reason I want to keep saying he's the bad guy.
He looks like a bad guy, and he got smacked by the guy who looks like
this guy looks like the good guy,
like Captain America or something.
Yeah. All right, I don't know what the story is here.
Seems like a bad guy. I mean, he pays him off after punching some dude.
So I don't know. I don't like the story if that's the case, because this guy doesn't get his up comments. I guess. Oh, maybe they captured it all on film. Okay, let's try to go with the narrative. Okay, so let's just say this is the good guy. He was just like, hey man, you did something bad, and then that guy's like, screw you, and punches him. He has to have superpowers too, because nobody gets thrown to this degree from a normal punch. So then these are the neighborhood guys like, hey man, we won't tolerate that. Get out of our neighborhood. And then that, I don't know. It still seems like there should be a reaction from the Steve Rogers guy. Like he should put up a fight and say, this is my neighborhood too, and that guy's done whatever. It's like, we don't care. And it's like, you can't prove anything, that I did like punch that guy. And then these guys are all like, ha ha ha, yeah, right. We have it all on film. And so he's like, fine then. Take this $300 and because it looks like there's 3 bills
divided among the 6 of you.
and then this guy's like, hi, and then he walks off.
What a country.
Okay, I got a headache.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the first one of these reviews I think you've really gotten this heavy into storytelling. Elements, but this is why it's cool that if you guys submit storytelling pages are probably the most helpful to aspiring artists if comics are your thing. I tell you,
I absolutely love storytelling. I don't know if you guys could tell, like all the story I was bringing into this story. And Taylor's observation is totally correct. Breakin this panel here is just confusing. Some of these breaks are a little too artsy-fartsy. This one kind of works, breaking the panel here, but I would definitely enclose this panel.
Yeah, do you think that's that white shape, do you think that's a part of the interior building, or that's just an artistic choice?
I think it's artistic choice because he has it here too. He does it right here.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's a harken back to some design element. But those are really, you guys, those are really hard to pull off, man. And even like really established pros have a hard time doing that and not making it break your reality, because you don't want to get too artsy-fartsy because it changes the way you view the story, and it can throw you out of the world that you've created. So sometimes opening it up is good. I think opening it up here, to keep with his theme was good, but enclose, because if they're too open, then you lose the structure of the layout as well. So yeah, there's that, and so that's flag. Let's go to our next guy.
Full disclosure, I had to darken this person's pencils a little bit just so that they were visible.
So this is Sheldon Martin?
Sheldon, yeah.
Yeah, cool. This is what you do. It's not in the description, but Sheldon put his name up here, so we can give Sheldon some credit. All right. Is this what page? This is page 6. So
it says, it's weird. The file says page 10.
Yeah, on the page itself it says 6. Let's see this.
7.
Oh, it says issue 2, page 10, issue 2, page 11. So I don't know if these are supposed to be in sequence.
Yeah, they don't. Well, I don't know.
They don't look like they're in sequence, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so just as always, we'll kind of take it all in. That's very good, Sheldon. Okay. So there's a knife on the ground with drops of blood. Is that what or is it starting to rain?
I don't know. I'm having some trouble reading that second thin panel.
Yeah. So then...
Hey, Winnipeg.
Does that mean something to you?
Kind of. If it's Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, okay.
I've heard tales of Winnipeg, and it's kind of weird to have like a supernatural cop setting there, because I don't know if there's anybody from Winnipeg in the chat. Feel free to chime in, but I thought it was more of like a kind of country setting with not a lot going on.
Okay, this is interesting. We kind of look like we start a moment, then we end a moment, and then it looks like a new thing of actions coming in. Or are these just skid marks? So this truck...
No, I think it's
they're moving.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like these people are here. So now it looks like they have a truck sliding out of control towards them. So if this is in sequence, then that truck didn't... Because the follow-up should have been the truck impacting them somehow, right?
So is this like a scene switch? Is the first one the same road with the cars?
Well, it looks like... Yeah, I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't get into storytelling as much as just art, because this looks a little confusing to me as well, and I don't want to go back into the same rhythm that I went with the other page.
The theme of this review is
I don't know what's going on. But that if you guys are going to do storytelling pages, the story has to be where you can read it. It has to be clear. Otherwise, you're not really doing your job. So we're in a smoky setting, it looks like. So it looks like supernatural exists, I guess, with the mundane, with the real life.
Cops fighting a gargoyle or something.
Man, this is blowing my mind. Okay, so I don't know who these three guys are, but they got some serious firepower. And I almost feel bad for this girl because she looks kind of demonic, but in this scene she looks kind of sympathetic. And they're pretty much obliterating her. I don't know if this knife is supposed to...
She dropped it, maybe?
Dropped it or something, so... What, she was coming at him with a knife, so they unloaded automatic weapons on her? I don't know. So then we have... Okay, so these are cops and paramedics, you think? Or just all cops? Is this like a riot?
Oh, maybe. I thought it was an ambulance, but I think it is a riot thing.
Yeah, it's like SWAT or something.
Yeah.
So maybe these guys are like demon hunters, like it's because it says WACU. I don't know what that is. Winnipeg. I don't know. That is a W or is it a V? I think one of these characters had it on them as well. It's a V. VACU. So
vampire or something.
Evacuation. I don't know. So. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I said I wasn't going to get into the story, but this is eating at my brain. At my brain. So, I don't know. Let's just say that demons are running amok, so that the demons are the villains, and that these guys with the VACU initials are the good guys. Are you with me, Taylor, or am I reading this wrong?
No, I think think you're right. That's how I'm reading it too.
Okay.
If you're in the chat and this is your piece, please chime in. We want to know how off base or on we are.
Oh, and as always, guys, I don't know if you feel the need to have permission, but chime in, man, because this is for you guys. So if you have questions and stuff, you know, I can show you stuff here, but we can also, you know, you can ask me questions and I can answer them as well. So we can take advantage of this interactive platform we have here. All right, so these guys are good guys. They're getting rid of this vampire chick, which is drawn. She's drawn very, very well, by the way. These fingers are a little long, but this is very well drawn. The hair is cool. I'm a fan of kind of the ribbon hair where they kind of get the ribbon shapes in there. So I like that. The face is really cool. Most of these bullet impacts are good. The only thing is if the bullets are only coming in, give me a red. Get my red back. Where is it? There we go. So where the bullets are flying in this direction, then this and this.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Unless they're going right through the hand, which they could, but if they're going through the hand, all these impacts look identical. So usually the bullet will only hit the front parts. So I like this direction because it's kind of going this way. So if it's hitting her, it's kind of ricocheting pring, off that way. The wing, I'm not a fan unless the bullet's going through, but it seems like also the impact, if the bullet was going through, it would be reversed of the way, you know, because it would be coming in this way and through the wing.
Yeah,
so if the trajectory was going, then the hole would be this way, and then the debris or whatever would be flying off in the other direction. So if this is coming, this one right here is coming through the wing, I think the impact should look different than these. Same with the back of the hand here. So that's really the only criticism I can see here. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I think this still needs an establishing shot. This is page 6, but there needs to be a better establishing shot and a reason for them to be blasting this girl. Like I said, it looks a little, she looks a little sympathetic to me in that panel, less of a villain. And if the only reason they're blasting her is because of this knife, that's a little overkill.
She's got a knife.
Boom. So I'm not really sure. I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. I'm going to ask Taylor, what is this second panel? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know what that I don't if that is that that weird shape at the top. I don't know if that's like impact lines or that. I can't tell what that is. And that's the most confusing part, because if I just saw the floor, I think it was just her dropping the knife, but I don't know what that shape is.
It also doesn't look like the knife is being dropped. It looks like
it's been laying there.
Yeah, because there's these lines here, but I think there's supposed to be some kind of mist or smoke that's coming in, because there's this one too, and these.
Oh, that's right.
So I'm not sure what that is, and I'm not sure if those are...
Oh, I think I know.
What?
Chat, weigh in if you agree. I think that's the tire of the car. That's that.
It is the tire of the car. Good call.
It's a bottom of a dress.
It's You know what? I thought the same thing.
Because I was like, well, you can't see her waist, so maybe it's a dress. I think it's the tire of that car.
I wanted to say that, like a dress, but she's not wearing a dress. Wow, that's funny. I'm glad somebody else said it, because I was thinking it. I was going to say it out loud, but I didn't want to seem like a dress. What the hell? Where did the dress come from?
It's really hard to read.
So some of these look like blood, and some of them look like...
I don't know.
I get, is this, and then it's a puddle of blood?
Yeah.
That is dripping from her.
If I didn't see the other panels, I would think it was raining.
That's what I thought too. But those aren't gunshots, right? Those are like splashes.
I think so.
Because they look a little bit like his gun impact.
Yeah, they really do.
Okay, so I don't know. It seems like she should be falling here. If this is, action reaction kind of storytelling, it seems like she should be hitting the ground here. And you know what? Should we start maybe saying that we have a special treat coming? And I hope they think it's a treat.
Yeah, let's tease that.
Go ahead. While I'm taking this in, go ahead and tease the what we're going to do after this.
So after this, because we're kind of winding down here, there's one more page. What we're going to do is we're going to test out a new segment, and we're tentatively naming it Tales from Boomertown. And I thought it would be interesting. Well, we thought it would be interesting. There's been a couple times where Art has kind of told his stories from kind of his origin story, how he got in the industry. I don't know if we've ever told it in full, but I thought maybe we could do like a story time type thing, and Art could share his stories. And I think today we're going to tell your origin story.
Yeah, how I broke into the business.
Yeah.
So I thought it would fit, the whole portfolio and aspiring artist things.
Yeah, Art's been kind of hinting at this story for a while, and I think people were kind of requesting it too, because interviewing people and stuff, other people have told their origin stories, but I'm not sure if you've heard Art's all the way. So Art came up with Tales from Boomertown.
But what did we call this one?
Oh gosh, this one has something the boom. Not Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah.
Boomin' Out Loud?
Boomin' Out Loud. So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out names for it. And if you guys like it, it's coming up. But if you like it, please let me know, because I'm a little, I am an older guy and I don't want to bore people, because I don't want to be like, oh, Grandpa's telling a story about...
Art has great stories, and you have stories about kind of comics in the major heyday, and I think not just the 90s, but I don't know, I think people will be interested to hear your origin story and how it differs maybe from some other creators' origin stories now.
I hope. This is pre-internet, so if you guys, after I do it, if you really like it, I am going to need a little encouragement on this, because you just don't want to do something that people aren't interested in. It's kind of sad.
Title says Hack Shack Origins, Art T. Bear.
Yeah. So anyway, I just think this panel here, I don't know, it seems like it should be there. It seems like her falling should be here. And then I'm not even sure what's going on here. So maybe that demon chick was messing with this girl here, because it looks like she's picking herself up off the ground. And so then, maybe she's saying, thanks for shooting her. You saved my life, or something like that.
Looks like she's still alive.
This girl?
Yeah.
No, I think she's gone. Yeah, she's just laying there.
Oh.
But it looks like she's kind of falling though, because this leg is in action, and then her leg's like this.
Yeah, I thought she was like trying to get up.
Yeah, so ideally this leg shouldn't be up like that. It's kind of odd. But also, I don't know. I think I would show that girl, the demon chick back here.
We're already getting questions about your origin story. Yeah, you guys, when Art's telling a story, feel free to chime in. Title says, I've been wondering what made Art primarily an inker instead of other aspects of comics.
Oh, I will answer that.
All this and more.
All this and more in a special Boomer time. It's Boomer time. Bomb, 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 bomb. Can't touch this. Okay, yeah. So this right here boggles my mind. I don't know what this.
That's strange.
This is just coming out of seemingly nowhere. This truck. Our heroes are here. So it looks like impending doom, because this truck is coming right into them.
Yeah, is that gonna...
I will say that the drawing is very, very strong. This shot here with this truck sliding, these things are hard to do. That's very, very cool, very convincing. Your tech and your tire treads and all that stuff are really good. Your drawing is really close to being there. This is really solid stuff. So keep practicing. Other than the second panel, I think it's pretty good. I just couldn't make out what the second panel was. So we look like we have an establishing shot of the city. Then we cut into this alley. We see this guy. He's running so fast, his hat's falling off. He's running around the corner. We get to see that now there's somebody that's watching him. Or was he chasing him?
Oh.
I don't know. He just kind of shows up. So then this guy now knows somebody is chasing him or behind him. Guy grabs him by the shirt. Oh, hold on.
Refuel.
Oh, my throat's falling apart. Ooh. Ah, I'm back. I gotta be strong for Boomertown.
Get your strength up for Boomertown, Art. They want to hear your origin story.
Boomertown. Okay. Oh gosh.
Oh no.
My voice. I don't know if you guys listen to Cecil and John Malin, but I did 2 4-hour sessions with those guys up till 1 o'clock in the morning. What was that? Friday and no, it was
back to back. It was. It was Friday.
No, today's Saturday, so it was Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday night. Yeah. In a row.
Yeah, so a lot of talking, way more talking than I'm used to. I'm used to just being quiet behind my drawing board. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there's some eyes right here. I didn't see that before.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
Wait a minute. So that would imply that there's a third person.
Is that a different guy than the one that's chasing him then? Because I see in that second panel he's vaulting over the... Oh no, that's him vaulting over the fence.
Yeah, it's the guy with the baseball cap.
Oh, okay.
Okay, oh.
So he grabs him as he runs past.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Who's in the second panel then?
I think it's this guy in the shadows.
Okay.
But that's what he should have done is, one, this panel right here, it's kind of throwaway. I just think that every panel in a comic book is precious. And so, you know how I always say image eyes?
Ooh.
There's an image eye.
Good eye.
Good eye. I don't know if this is supposed to be smoke, so I don't know if this is the aftermath of that crash. That was the page before. So let's just say this is the guy that caused the accident. I don't know. But I still think there should be a guy running here. Otherwise it feels...
Did he come from the car?
I don't know. That's why I'm kind of bringing my own story into this. So he's fleeing from this crime scene, which is a crime if you cause an accident and you run. So let's draw his arm back here to imply he's moving. Dude's booking it. So he's running from this accident. So then, we have these ghost images of him jumping into this alley, and he's scared. He's like, oh, they're going to catch me. So then here I like that there's somebody watching him. But then we have this panel. These two panels are repetitive. They're the same panel. They're the same idea. So what I would do is what I would have done, because this is a mystery, but this is a reveal. This should come first because you don't know who that is.
If it's a creature, if it's a person, yeah.
So what I would do is I would make this, so we have panel 1, we have panel 2. I would make this panel 3. So I would move that here. And then you just see this, what is that? It's very subtle. And so then I don't think I'd use this panel at all.
No, now that you mention it, it doesn't seem necessary.
Because the reveal should be here, right? The reveal shouldn't be here. And this is not even a real reveal. It's just the back of the guy's head.
It's also just confusing.
Unless there's a third party, which I don't know if there is.
It looks like the same guy.
But just as far as visual, I think it would be more effective if, he's running from the accident. He's scared. He just caused a major car pileup. He's running, now there's somebody that's that knows where he's at and that he did it. And so then when this mystery hand comes out and grabs him, then I assume what's happening is, since this door was open, a hand came out of the door, grabbed him, and then shut the door. However, this is not it's not a good shot. It's like, oh, it's a door. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would have been better if maybe you drew it from like a, I don't know, side. Like, say this is like looking at the wall, like the wall is here. And then what you see like legs.
Oh, like as you see him being pulled in.
He's being pulled in this direction here. And then maybe a hand coming out. Like that or something. And then you have your alley in the background. And I would tilt the panel kind of in the direction you have now. So, but it would just be a completely different shot. Because also, I think now that I look at the genius of what I just did, is that you have this movement coming from that panel to this panel to this panel. See that? Look at that. I didn't even know I was doing that. So yeah, so he's grabbing him and then he's pulling him it looks like into the wall. And then if you still wanted to do the door, you could do this as a 3-panel sequence and do them as small panels. So it's like bomb, bomb, bomb. Like they're happening. Grab, pull, door slam. So then you have like a 1, 2, 3 beat, and then you have the reveal here. And also, I'm not sure what he's doing here, but I think what I would do is, with the space of losing this, and then I wouldn't do 2 panels here. I would do, well, let me go back. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I want to see this as a 3-panel across.
And then end on the reveal.
And then a reveal. Yeah. So I'd like to see, this works, but then a door slam. Maybe it doesn't need the door slam. Maybe the door could slam here, like from the inside. So you see the door slam from the other side of the wall. Or he's holding the knob and he's slamming the door closed. That could work. Also, this is a really small door. It should be up higher. So it should be up here somewhere. But if he had his hand on the knob or something, like, let's just say, keeping his shot there. Wow, it's not a very straight line. I have a tool that will let me draw straight lines. I can use that. So like here, and so then he's holding the doorknob here. So then maybe if you had more of like he's slamming it closed, then you could have that same effect of him slamming the door. And so then this guy is like, oh gosh. So this is kind of working. I think also, well, let me take some of those action lines out. That possibly this guy should be more full figure. And then this leg coming around. I don't know if you can see that. And then maybe this hand up, like, what the hell?
Don't hurt me.
Yeah, don't hurt me. And he can still be in slight silhouette, but more of like a two shot. Because also this guy is too far back from him. So if he just grabbed him and threw him in the room, he's too far away from him. So there's too much distance. I think if they're closer, it's more immediate. Like this guy's going to do him harm. If he's too far away, then there's too much distance between the two characters. He doesn't look as threatening. And then what I would do here is I would do like this guy in a pretty badass close-up. And then also where you can see that VA, if that means something, which I think it does in the story. So you see it on his chest. And he's just like, this is it, buddy. The end of the road. Right here. in a really threatening manner. So that's what I would do. Once again, the drawing is really strong. I think you've got some, the beginnings of some cool chops. Your perspective is pretty right on. I like it. The storytelling for the most part is good. Your shadowing, your anatomy is pretty good. Just tighten up the storytelling. This window is really cool. Like I told you guys before, I focus on weird things sometimes.
That one stuck out to me too.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. I like these gas meters down back here too. It's a nice detail. It looks.
Settings are pretty cool.
Yeah, you're looking at stuff. You're taking in photo ref. You're looking and you're bringing that into your work, and that's really good. That's really strong. It shows that you're taking things outside of comics. You're trying to understand what it is you're drawing. So this is really good. Like I said, just the storytelling, I think, right here. And it's not that what you did was bad. It's just that I think it could be more impactful. Just a little bit more dramatic. So we have that. And let's see. Okay, so do you guys want Boomer Time? Boomer Time.
People would definitely want the Boomer Town, I think.
The Boomer Town. And what were we calling Boomer what?
Gosh. Tales from Boomer Town or Boomin' Out Loud.
Boomin' Out Loud. Okay, guys. I should have actually, let me go back real quick. Just to sum up, thank you guys so much for sending your work. You guys are brave. I know it's kind of self-indulgent when I put these, like, I talk really brash, like, I'm going to smash your will, or I'm going to destroy your, your confidence, or whatever that's just kind of clickbaity stuff. And it's fun. So I hope you think it's fun. Mm-hmm. And so most of this is just me trying to give back to the community. That's given me so much. There have been people in my life along the way that have taken time like this and showed me, maybe better ways to do my art, just little tips, stuff like that. And I still get that from time to time. So this is me just trying to pay it forward, just to give something back to some up-and-comers. So I hope you guys are taking this, and learning from it and getting something out of it. And once again, just my disclaimer, it's never my intention to hurt or whatever. It is to inspire, and so we can all get better and make great comic books. So having said that, are we going to put a link for more artwork, or what are we going to do, Taylor?
Yeah, after this, I'm going to add some links to the description, and I will add, if you guys would like to submit your artwork for art to review, we have a Dropbox and Mediafire. I'll put the link there if you want to submit. Please make sure your art is relatively high-res, at least 300, and include your name in the file name, just for ease of access. And sequential artwork like this is always preferred. As you can see, Art has a lot of experience in this, and he could probably advise you best on sequential storytelling, comic book-oriented artwork.
Yeah, I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun for the people tuning in.
You can get more in depth, I feel like.
Yeah. So, and thanks again for sending this stuff. You guys are really brave for doing this. And this was Sheldon's work, Sheldon Martin. So I think, Sheldon, with a little bit more work, you've obviously put some time. You've already have quite a lot of time invested to get to this point of quality. So keep it up, and don't be discouraged. And I hope this helped. So now it's Boomer Time. Gosh, I want music so bad now. Like Boomer Time. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Can't touch this. And then I just go into like my boring story. What is this? Go to settings. What does that mean?
Click that little X. Not that one. Yeah, that one.
This one.
Yes. Get rid of that. Okay.
Yeah, because we don't want to do that. We shut down the whole operation. Okay, so I'm trying to think what year this was. This is going to be my, like Taylor said, origin story. So this is how I broke into the business. Broke in big into the business. So this is my Marvel DC story. I was already kind of working in comics a little bit before this, in the independents, and assisting a talent named Jim Valentino. I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Valentino, but he's one of the founders of Image Comics. So he was doing a lot of independent work, and he was doing animation in Hollywood at the same time. So he needed some help. So I ghosted a little bit, and then I became his full-time inker on Myth Adventures, which
How
was...
did you meet him?
I met him through a college teacher.
Oh.
So there was... I read a... It's always... Most people, there's a third party between... How do I say this? There's a go-between... How is it said? Okay, most connections aren't direct connections. There's always a third party that gets the two together. So when you pitch in Hollywood and stuff like that, they said that that's almost always how it goes. So if you go pitch a show in Hollywood, which we've done before, it usually doesn't happen right there at that moment. It's usually a friend of that person that gets you in. It's like, okay, this is how it would go. Okay, so it'd be like, hey, I'm talking to my producer, or let's go back comics to my publisher, and I'm like, there's this great talent, Taylor Grosso, and you should really check out her work. And it's like, Taylor Grosso, yeah, well, we're not really looking for anybody. And it's like, yeah, but you got to check this stuff out. It's so amazing. And so then I say, hey, check this stuff out. Just give her a chance, right? And so the guy's like, whatever. And so then Taylor meets with the guy, and then she knocks his socks off. Next thing you know, she's the best thing in the world. So it's usually that third person. So you notice I put myself in that middle, like I was the good guy in that story. so it's usually that guy or girl, whoever.
Well, you've done that for people. Somebody got a job, I think, out of these portfolio reviews.
Yeah, so it's usually that person, and sometimes it's somebody that they might not even know you. You know what I mean? Sometimes they might just see your comic book work or see something that you posted or whatever. And so then they're talking to somebody that needs talent. And then they just say, hey, there's this guy on YouTube or whatever. And so then, you know what I mean? They turn that guy on to your work or whoever's work. And that's how it happens. So that's how it happened for me. So actually there were two people. One, there was my teacher, and he knew that I liked comic book type art, even though I was studying illustration. I wanted to be more of an illustrator than a comic book artist at the time. He knew a guy that was an aspiring comic book artist too, and I think he was just starting to work for Continuity, which is the Neil Adams company.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was just starting as a penciler, and he knew Jim Valentino. And the thing about this is probably late 70s, early 80s when all this is happening. So there's no, at the time there was no West Coast comic book connection. Image Comics was formed here on the West Coast, and that was the first time that there was really a comic book community on the West Coast, period. So all the artist community that exists now came from that. It came from Image Comics. So there was really only like Valentino, there was Rob Liefeld, who was aspiring at the time, there was me, there was, and when I say aspiring, that's what year this was. There was Jim Lee that was aspiring, but I didn't know Jim at the time. And then there's Wills, and then Scott Williams.
So all of you guys were kind of coming up in like the SoCal, West Coast kind of area.
Right.
But the real big comic scene was all East Coast, New York area.
Yeah, all the publishing, Marvel and DC, was New York, and almost all publishing, period, was New York. So the only thing, like if you were an artist and like to draw cartoony or comic book stuff, you probably did storyboards or worked for Hanna-Barbera at the time. And the thing about animation in Hollywood is it used to be, I don't know if it still is, it was seasonal. So, you know how like TV used to be in seasons? So they would go from like September to early summer, and then there would just be reruns.
That's
TV
right.
would just rerun for the second half of the year. So cartoons did that, TV did that, all of TV did that. And there were only 3 networks at the time. So there was ABC, NBC, and CBS. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of limited. So a lot of... not a lot, but there was enough of the animators that kind of would dabble into comics. So they would go back into comics.
During that off season?
During the off season, yeah. And Valentino was one of those guys. So while he was off the off season, he was doing Myth Adventures with me. So I hope that connected all the dots. So then Jim and I were doing Myth Adventures, and it was for Apple Comics. It was a long time ago. I don't want to seem like I'm bagging on anybody, but most independents, even today, are like this. You don't always get paid. You don't always get paid. So I was out on my own pretty early on when I was young, and it was make or break. If I didn't get paid, then I didn't eat, then I didn't make my rent, then I was out on the street. So when we worked for Apple doing Myth Adventures, we always got our upfront money. And at the beginning, we would get our back end money too. And what that means, and they still do stuff like this all the time, especially, well, mostly independents. I think this is still the same template. And actually, I think it's even rarer to get upfront money because most of the time it's all paid on the back end.
Ooh, it can be rough.
Yeah, it's real rough. So at least we got that. So, excuse me. So we would work for upfront money, and then we got paid off the back end. And the reason the back end is because then the profits of the book. So once the book went on sale.
So you got paid for the full run up front, but the actual,
No, we got paid, like, let's just say my page rate was 25. Well, let's just say my page rate was $20 to be easier to do the math. They would pay me 10 up front and then 10 on the back end. So they would honor the rate, but they would only give you half of the rate up front.
Okay.
And so then the back end would mean that off the profits of the book, then they would have money, like liquid money, or money that they could now spend and invest back into the talent. Yeah, they would finish paying you. But I don't remember. I never had a contract with them because I was just helping out Jim, and I don't know if Jim had a contract with them, but they stopped paying the back end.
Ooh.
So they probably, and this happens a lot, you guys. So I'm also telling you this as a cautionary tale. So, and I don't mean to be blasting independence because I'm not. It's just a reality. It's a reality of small publishing. A lot of us have big dreams and big goals, and we want the best, but then the reality sometimes just doesn't turn out that way. So I think Apple, because that's the Wendy and Richard Pinney comic publishing company, they do ElfQuest.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were pretty big, and they were pretty reputable at the time. So they just kind of stopped paying back in. But Jim and I, we needed to live. So Jim started putting more of a portfolio together for other publishing companies, and he advised me as well. So I started, and this was so weird, like I didn't necessarily want to go to Marvel or DC, which is strange. I kind of wanted to do independent publishing because we were publishing, Jim and I were publishing with Renegade Press, because he had Normal Man, Jim had Normal Man. And so what Renegade Press, I think it's Denny Lobert, if I remember properly, and Denny Lobert was married to Dave Sim, who was the Cerebus guy, and he's big time indie publishing. I mean, he made a lifetime of publishing, and so I think that was all the connection. So I think they were having a divorce, or there was some going on between Denny and Dave, and so Denny got Renegade Press. I think that was before Aardvark Vanheim. I don't remember the details of it. But anyways, there was something like that. Or she just formed her own publishing company after they split up. And it was Renegade Press. I always thought Renegade Press was
a great name.
That's a great name.
It's cool. It kind of sounds deep indie. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. It was really, really cool. And she was cool. And Jim Valentino was freaking awesome. He was so cool. So yeah, we're like, this is deep indie.
Old school underground indie comics.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were hanging out with oh my gosh, I'll tell you, those indie guys, they know how to party.
That's a story for another time.
I'm just gonna say that. And so yeah, like all the Freak Brothers, all that, the drug comics and all that stuff. So that's kind of where I was at that time, which is so weird because I'm so mainstream now. But I mean, there was like the drug culture, all that stuff. It was crazy. God, was it Bean World? Tales of Bean World. I forgot that guy's name. If you're in the chat, he ended up being the publisher of Image Comics later.
Wow.
So I think Jim probably had the connection with that guy. His book was Tales of Bean World. And you talk about kind of drug, psychedelic, weird stuff, man, but really cool. It was pretty cool. So anyways, I'm probably giving too much information. I hope you guys are still...
that's what the indie comic scene was then, and that's what your heart kind of was.
Yeah, this is definitely late 70s, 79, 80, somewhere, maybe 81 tops. And so... Anyway, we just needed money. So I never really thought about Marvel and DC, but it became more of a viable way to live, to survive at this point because they paid. They were a reputable company. They paid on time. And there was no back end, front end nonsense. There was just a page rate. You turn in a page, you get paid. You turn in a page, you get paid. And I just needed that to survive.
So you wanted to stay in comics, you wanted to do indie, but if it meant having to go mainstream to pay for your living, you did it.
I don't even know if it was a conscious decision to stay in comics. I think it was more of a conscious decision to survive as an artist. You know what I mean? To live as an artist. Because I think I still had dreams of being an illustrator, and I was doing illustration at the time. And also to back up, I had a full-time day job while I'm doing all this other stuff. So I'm working with Jim and doing all these indie projects at night. So I was so scared, I never quit my day job. So it became more of a part-time as I went, but I just needed that kind of steady income to keep things going. So then I put a portfolio together. So this is going to start explaining this door soon. We'll get to it. I have this is audio and visual, so there's going to be this slide presentation later. And so, I put a portfolio together and it had more Marvel and DC stuff. So I always heard do sequential artwork. So they were Spider-Man pages, Batman pages. I think I did some even Warlord pages, which is weird because that's where I ended up being. Spoiler alert.
Well, Spider-Man too.
Oh yeah, that's true. And so I did those, and I penciled and inked them and wrote the stories as well. So I guess that indie creator, just doing all that stuff was still in my blood. And so I went to a convention. And I met Jim Shooter. And Jim Shooter was editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics at the time. And that dude's a monster. He's so huge. I'm 5'7". This guy's towering over me, like Lurch. And so he's like, hey, yeah, you show some promise here. This has got potential. So, young me is like, yeah, this is great. And then he said, I think he said, if you're ever in New York, we have a Marvel bullpen. And so what we do is we take guys like you work, for months in the bullpen, and then we can get you up to a point where we can start giving you a book or we can start giving you work.
Now working unpaid in the bullpen?
I had no idea at the time. I was thinking it was going to be a
job, yeah.
It was a job, yeah. I thought he was offering me a job. And I think the bullpen did pay. Yeah, it did pay. It probably didn't pay a lot, but it did pay. And at the time, Johnny Romita Sr. was the guy in charge of the bullpen. So that's the guy that would have been teaching me. Oh my gosh, it still gives me chills to think about that. So anyway, so this is young, naive, art, early 20s, whatever it was. And so I kept working and I was saving to get a ticket to New York City. So I started saving my money. So at the time, I'm still hanging out with Jim Valentino, and Jim's trying to break into Marvel as well. And we did a convention together. We went to, we took the Amtrak or whatever to San Diego Comic-Con because he lived in Orange County and so did I. So we went to the con together. Wow. We shared a hotel room, and we're just hanging out, just trying to get work and stuff. And I think that's also where we broke it off with Apple Comics, with the Wendy and Richard Pinney company, because I do remember we had a little bit of a ballistic meeting with those guys about payment. So I think that was all about the same time, but we were also transitioning, I think, into more mainstream while this was going on. So I remember just hanging with Jim, and then there was this guy. Let me see. Well, I'll get to him. His name was Craig Anderson. Craig Anderson, and he just seemed like a guy that liked to party, to be honest.
Again, indie comic scene.
Indie comic scene. So that's pretty much what we did at San Diego. We looked for work and we just partied like crazy. And so there was one night we were partying and Craig was hanging out with us because he knew Jim. I don't know how they knew each other, but he knew Jim. And so I don't know why he just didn't have a place to stay that night. I don't know how you come from New York City to California and not have a place to stay. But
Craig didn't?
Craig didn't, yeah. And so, wait a minute. I shouldn't be too harsh because my story kind of mirrors that. So anyway, yeah, so Craig, asked if he can stay. We said, yeah. And then Craig said, people say this all the time, but I was so naive. Hey, Art, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. So stupid me, I'm thinking, yeah, anything. He said anything, right? Now, you get older and you're just like, some people just say things.
They don't literally mean anything.
Yeah, they don't mean it. And so I'm not even sure if I contacted Craig. Maybe Jim Valentino contacted Craig, but I don't think I had direct connection with Craig before I did the crazy thing I'm about to tell you. Okay.
Brace yourselves.
So you guys already know I saved up for a ticket to New York City, right? Because that's where all publishing was done. And so I think, like I said, maybe Jim Valentino set this up, maybe, because I don't remember ever really talking to Craig. So then one day I just showed up at Craig's doorstep, and that's this image.
In New York.
In New York. I had never traveled before, ever. I never got on a flight. I never did really anything before this. So this was the biggest adventure. This is Fievel Goes West. Like this is this is me like taking a major leap of faith. But I had no idea. I was so naive. I had no idea how much of a leap of faith this was. So I hop on a flight. I go to New York City. Also, the flight came in rush hour, New York City. Ooh. So if you guys have ever been in New York City rush hour, it is insane. It's wall-to-wall people. So I get out of the subway. The subway's down below. You come up to the street. I may as well been in like a foreign country. This is so crazy to me. So I'm walking up to the surface. Boom, wall of people. So I'm like, oh, jeez, what the heck? So I figured out, I had no money for cab or anything. Keep in mind, I had like maybe $100 or so in my pocket. So I'm walking, I find my way to 46th Street. 46th Street is where Craig lived. And at the time, I don't know if they still refer to it as this, but this is the heart of Hell's Kitchen. This is Daredevil territory. This is like really a bad area of New York City.
Ooh.
So
So you said rush hour, so that was like,
it was insane. Yeah. So, and I never been to this place before. I had no idea where 46th Street was. And I had no idea where I was dropped off from, from the subway. So I had to find my bearings, and just like every tourist at the time, in New York City, there's maps. At least in the 70s, 80s, there were maps everywhere. So I just went and I bought a map. They had like a map of New York City. So I figured, and then I knew enough that I didn't want to do this, like look at a map in public, because I knew I would just be mugged, like, oh, look, there's a tourist.
Well, at least you were street smart enough for that.
Yeah, so I went into the bathroom, I got in a stall, and I looked through the map, and I figured out, okay, this is where I'm at, this is where 46th Street is. So then I walked my way over to 46th Street, and like I said, I didn't tell Craig I was coming. So I'm at the door there. You can see the buzzer right here. These doors don't open up. Like, I'm thinking California, everything's open. Everybody's
I'll just go knock.
I'll just knock on the door and somebody will come to the door, right? No, it doesn't work that way. So I ring the buzzer, no one answers. So then the reason I think this is a funny picture is, see this bag right here? That's all I brought. And then this is my portfolio. I'm so glad I took this picture because it's so sad. It's so funny. It's funny sad.
So how long were you planning on staying at that point?
You know what? I don't even know if I had a plan. I just think I thought I was going to go there and I was just going to work in the bullpen and I was going to stay with Craig Anderson forever. I don't even know what my plan was. It was just, as far as I had thought it through, was I need to go to New York City because Jim Shooter offered me a job, right? That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And then I knew that Craig had a place in New York City. So anyway, I sat there for hours because Craig did not come home for hours. He was still at work. So he comes and I'm just sitting on his doorstep.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, Art? And I'm like, hey, Craig. And so then, the conversation was very awkward. And he probably felt pity, intense pity, and probably thought I was the stupidest person in the world. And so he brought me in. I offered to pay him, for dinner, to get some dinner. He was pretty broke at the time too. So I think we just had a couple pizza slices or something like that. And so I told him New York pizza is really good, even just off the street. That stuff is really good. So yeah, I just told him my woes and what I wanted to do. So then he said, okay, well then come to work with me tomorrow. So I don't know. Wait a minute. He didn't even say that.
Oh no.
No, he didn't get me into, no, he didn't. I think there was talk like that, but that didn't happen. So I remember I woke up, and keep in mind, I wish I had a picture of this apartment. New York apartments are like the size of this room that I'm in right now. That's kitchen, toilet, and bedroom. But there aren't even separate rooms. The only separate room. It was like
a studio, right? Like a studio apartment.
Yeah, it was tiny.
12 by 12.
Yeah, it was insane. And so the toilet was like in a box. So you had privacy. So it was like a closet. And so then there was a bathtub, but it was in the middle of the kitchen area.
What?
Yeah. And so then there was a little bit of a partition, and that was kind of like the living room / bedroom. So he had a fold-out bed, but he didn't even have a pillow, and he barely had a blanket for me. So I just slept on the floor without a pillow with this blanket. And so this is how it went. Now this was 30 years ago or more. I remember waking up and he wasn't there. And then there was a written note, and it just said went to work early. Here's a key. That's what it was. Here's a key.
That was generous.
Yeah, to the apartment. So he took off. There wasn't like this guy. He wasn't big on words, and he just kind of would help out, but not in any real way where he spoke in detail. Like,
he wasn't warm fuzzy like that.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of coddling at the time, actually ever. So then I was like, okay. So then I figured out how to get to Marvel Comics. And like I said, I didn't have any money, so I ended up walking everywhere. So I walked from 46 to wherever the publishing area of New York was.
How long did it take you? Did you have any idea?
Oh my gosh, it was probably 20 minutes or a half hour, something like that. It's cross town. So, I'm still looking at my map, trying not to look like a tourist. And so I get there, and I have to be buzzed in. Everybody gets buzzed in. So I come into the little area, and I'm really bold. And I said, yeah, I'm here to meet with Jim Shooter. The guy's running Marvel Comics. I'm just this guy. And so then she's like, okay, let me check. You're not on the list. I'm like, the list? And she goes, yeah, of people that are here to see Jim today. And I'm like, well, how do I get on the list? And she said, well, it has to be set up, blah, 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 all these things. And so I'm like, I flew all the way from from California to New York. I blah blah blah, and he said this, and so I guess I just looked like the saddest person in the world. Yeah. So then she buzzed me in.
There's a sad California boy here. He needs to speak to you.
He looks really sad, and so, but there's another door. So that was just to get up, because that's like the building. Because they have like building security, but then there's offices within this building. So then that just got me access to the Marvel floor. And then there's another receptionist that's there that you have to get past. So then I guess I gave her the same sob story. So then she buzzed me in. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm in. This is good. So let me see if I have another. Okay,
there you are.
This is me, on the same, California boy, flew all the way, yeah. So this is more Hell's Kitchen in probably 1980. So I think I have, just to back up, look at that. That's a slum, man. Look at the street.
Oh my gosh, is that a park?
Okay, there's Craig. So this is a park?
What is that area right there? It's just
it's just a little.
That was optimistic.
Yeah, so some people just try to bring some greenery just to make it somewhat nice. And so this is Craig Anderson, and just to back up just for a moment, since I'm getting into the Craig Anderson part of this story. Craig Anderson was Ralph Macchio's assistant editor at Marvel at the time. So he's one of the cooler people in my life, but like I said, he wasn't really warm and fuzzy. He was just kind of like, hey, you're here, deal with it. And so here's another picture. This was a street fair that was out. It was I forget what street this was, Avenue Americas or something. And so they had it was like a book fair. It was a street fair. So they had all kinds of like publishers and things on the street, cool. And you could get like books, you could buy books, and they were giving books away and things. So then just to back up again, Marmaduke, thanks. Craig Anderson is the son of Brad Anderson, who was the Marmaduke's comic strip guy. So,
So Craig's dad was the creator of Marmaduke.
Yeah. So Craig is obviously slumming it in New York City, because Marmaduke's huge.
Yeah.
His dad had some crazy money, so he's kind of slumming it to be a Marvel editor. So, like I said, we never really had a heart-to-heart, so I never really got Craig's backstory other than his dad was, Brad Anderson.
Do you know was Marmaduke, okay, so if people don't know, Marmaduke is a major newspaper comic strip. Was Marmaduke, was Brad from California, or was that published pretty much everywhere?
This was nationwide. Yeah, this was what was it called? United Syndicate.
So Marmaduke was kind of
United Feature Syndicate. It was big.
Even when I was I guess I was a kid during that time. Marmaduke, I remember, was kind of a big deal as far as newspaper comics. I used to love that when I was a kid. Yeah,
I have no idea if it's still being published or not. Let me see if we can get a better
Apparently they have a Twitter, so Marmaduke still kind of, I think most people know who he is.
Yeah, and I think it was probably where they got the Scooby-Doo idea from, because I think all this stuff predates Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So that's Craig's backstory. So I'm in the Marvel offices. I hope you guys aren't bored with this, because I know this is why. Please let me know if this is good stuff and you want to hear me talk more. Let me know, because otherwise I'll just keep some of these things and they'll just die.
No.
They'll just die with me.
We're continuing Boomer Town whether you want it or not.
Nobody will ever hear these stories. Was that sad? That was sad, right? I said it to be funny, not to be sad, though. So I'm in the Marvel offices, and I bump into Craig.
The chat's digging it. They said this is great. Keep going.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Oh, now I'm pumped. Okay, I got the energy for this.
So there you are.
The second half.
You're living with Craig, New York, young, trying to figure it out. Just got into the Marvel office.
Yeah, young, stupid, naive, whatever.
Talented.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see where this crazy adventure goes. And so, I bump into Craig, And so he said, "Oh,
You bumped him at the office?
yeah, like I don't know, this is just the way I remember it. Like we just came across each other, and so then he said, "Oh, well, let me bring you in and introduce you to Ralph Macchio, my editor." And Ralph Macchio was a major editor at the time, and he became a major editor. He was actually my boss for Ultimate Spider-Man. So I ended up working with Ralph like for years after this. So you guys already know, spoiler alert, where it all turned out. I became a Marvel guy and all this stuff, but this is how I got there. So then I show Ralph my portfolio, and Ralph's like, "It's good, but it's not really Marvel yet." And so then I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "No." So, oh, no. Okay, before that, just to back up, before that, I didn't bump into Craig at that moment. This is all coming back to me. I still had my direct Jim Shooter connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to back up, yeah, I just went in to where Jim Shooter was. So
she buzzed you in and you went and headed straight in.
right, I headed straight in, and so then Jim Shooter had a secretary receptionist as well. So I went up to her and said, "I'm here to meet with Jim Shooter." She looks at the list. There's no RT Bear on the list. So she said, why would you think this was going to happen? I told her. She looked at me like, "You're the stupidest guy in the world." She said, "Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm going to go talk to Jim." She went into the office because I told her that he offered me a job in the bullpen. So then she comes out and she says, "Jim doesn't remember any of that."
Aww.
So then I'm like, "What?"
Were you devastated?
I was devastated. She goes, "He remembers going to the show, but he doesn't remember you."
Ooh.
And he's like, "No, well, he said these things. He said I had a job in the bullpen. I could work with Johnny Romita, junior, senior, and all these things." And so she's like, "No." And I must have just looked sad again. So she went back in to Jim, and she said,
"He really wants this.
He really wants this." So she comes back and she goes, "Okay." She goes, "Yeah, Jim is going to give you work." And I go, "Oh, great." She goes, "But not in the bullpen, as an intern." And I'm like, "Oh, awesome, an intern." So I'm all excited. So then I guess I was on cloud nine. Then I bumped into Craig. And so I told him, "Yeah, she just gave me work as an intern. Isn't that great?" He goes, "An intern hands out mail. An intern gets coffee. An intern just kind of helps us out. They don't get paid."
Oh.
And I'm like, "What?" She made it sound like it was a job. I had no idea that you could actually have a job and not get paid for it. And he goes, "No." That's when he brought me into Ralph. That's right. So then he brought me into Ralph. He goes, "Listen, you're in Marvel Comics. There's all kinds of editors here. You can talk to them directly. They may or may not give you a job. But while you're here, you may as well make the best of it." So that was his pep talk. So then I went over and talked to Ralph. Ralph shot me down. I remember Bob Harris was there. Don Daly, they shot me down. So I went into every office, and they all shot me down. So then I was just like, what do I do now? Like, I guess I could take this intern job, but it doesn't pay. I have like $100 in my pocket. Like I said, I don't know what I thought I was going to do, like whether I thought I was going to live with Craig forever. Like I didn't know what I hadn't thought very far in advance. So then this is one of those guys in your life that I was talking about, like that just kind of knows you and then can introduce you to somebody else. And there was a guy named Art Nichols. And if Art Nichols is listening, and if anybody knows Art Nichols, he's primarily was an inker at the time, but he also drew very well. I knew him from the convention circuit. He was already working in the comics industry, but I didn't know this at the time. So he was turning in some work at Marvel, and I told him my woes, and he said, "Hey, you want to catch a cab? I'm going over to DC right now to drop off some pages." And so I just sure, I had nothing to lose, right? So then I went over to DC with Art, and so Art's talking with his editors, and I'm just kind of bopping into editors' offices, like knocking in, like knocking on the door. "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm RT Bear. I'm from California. I'm an aspiring comic book artist," that type of thing. And so the first office I went into was Bob Greenberger's office. I'll never forget this. Bob's like, yeah, come in. Bob's like a big, larger than life. Yeah, come on in, come on in. Yeah, it's like, show me your portfolio. I'd love to see it. Like, it's the opposite of Marvel. It's the complete opposite. This guy has enthusiasm. He actually wants to see my portfolio. And so I open it up. He's looking at the portfolio, and he's like, yeah. Slams it closed. He goes, what do you want to do here at DC Comics? That's what he said.
Wow.
He said, what do you want to do at DC Comics? And I'm like, I want to draw comic books. He goes, yeah, well, is there any book you want? What are your aspirations? And I go,
oh my gosh.
I don't know, Batman? He goes, well, that's good. He goes, how about this for a start? And so he had like, it was Star Trek Who's Who. And so I don't know if you guys remember, like Marvel and DC both had like, I think Marvel had the Marvel Universe A to Z or something like that. And DC had these Who's Who books. So they would do these like DC, like all the characters from A to Z, and they would have these different artists that would draw them.
And they're like character profiles, right?
Exactly, yeah. They would have like the bios on the characters, and they would have a cool shot. There would be a cool figure shot, and then there would be like a montage behind them that would kind of illustrate a little bit about them and their character and their story, their backstory. So they had one for Star Wars, or Star Trek, I should say, at the time too. And I forget the name. Okay, if you guys know this in the chat, Cyberbuck, we'll explain what a Cyberbuck is later. But a Cyberfrog Buck. It was the captain before Kirk, the captain that had the Enterprise that he took over for. So I did that character, and then there was like some kind of Janeway character. There was like a female, I think, that was a captain of one of the ships too. So I did her character, and I did the United Federation, like a shot of the United Federation.
Ooh, that's cool.
So I think I did like 3, 4, 5 of these things. And then I remember I was also in New York City, and I didn't really have any art tools. I didn't have any paper. I didn't have anything. So I got this job. I'm on cloud 9. I'm like, yes. So I had to figure out where art supply places were in New York City. So I'm looking all over, because the maps don't show where art supply places are.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was just like the streets and stuff and not really a directory.
Yeah, so I remember I walked into a bookstore, and I said, I gave him my backstory. I'm looking for art supplies. New York is like, it may as well be like a little small town.
Captain Pike says
yeah.
Says Con Rathov. I knew that you would know Con.
Yeah, that was it, Captain Pike. And so I remember, like, people in New York, I don't know, coming from California, everybody's like, New York City, man, those people are all jerks. They're all like standoffish.
They're rude.
They are not. They have this demeanor like they need to take care of business because it's a busy city, but they are helpful people. I love New York City. And so I remember the lady at the bookstore said, oh yeah, art supply, yeah, it's on whatever avenue, whatever street. And so I looked at my map, went over there, bought art supplies, and started on my Who's Who drawings right then in Craig's apartment. No drawing board. I was just sitting on the floor. He had a little coffee table, and I'm drawing on the coffee table with my crude drawing tools that I bought, because I didn't even know what I was supposed to use. So I just bought a bunch of tools because I didn't really even know. There was no internet, so I didn't know how comic professionals really, what tools they used and stuff like that. I had a little bit of knowledge from Jim Valentino, but not a lot. So I bought what I thought I needed. I penciled up these Who's Who pieces. I inked them up. And then when Craig came home later that night, or to the apartment, it wasn't our home, it was his home, he just said, hey, Art, how would you feel about inking an entry-level book at Marvel? One of the books that Ralph is editing is the Starline comic line. Yeah, that's the guy Taylor just showed me. I think that's Pike.
I was trying to find Art's version of Captain Pike, but I don't know how difficult it is to find online these days.
It's probably really obscure after 30 years. So then, anyways, he said, "How would you?" Starline was like a kid line of comic books. So they had like Heathcliff and like a lot of more of the comic, like cartoon type of properties. And one of the properties that had just been greenlit in Hollywood was this cartoon called The Inhumanoids. And they had this whole toy line, and then they were starting this comic book line as well. So the penciler's name was Jose Delbo. I still remember that. And they asked me if I wanted to ink that book, and so I said, heck yes. So it was the worst day of my life, but it turned into the best day of my life. So the worst day was like I went there, everybody shot me down. I was way out of my element. I was in New York City. This is like my first day in New York City. I get shot down, think I'm going to work in the bullpen, all these things. And then somehow I just bypassed the bullpen, bypassed all the entry level stuff, and then just started working as an inker and a penciler on the same day. So yeah, I ended up working at DC as a penciler, and I started working at Marvel as an inker on exactly the same day. So the day that was the worst day became the best day later in the evening. So you guys never stop. Always keep working. Never lose faith. And if you have a dream, just keep pursuing it, even to the point of doing naive, dumb things like what I did, because there's hopefully there's going to be some person that's going to, feel bad for you and give you a break, or at least get you into a place where you can talk to somebody. And like I said,
persistence.
Yeah, persistence and just the kindness of strangers. These people didn't have to do any of these things. Art Nichols didn't have to say, "Hey, come on over to DC with me," and he was that guy, that third party guy that got me in touch with Robert Greenberger, got me over to DC and made this thing happen. So be nice to everybody. Be kind. You never know, what kind of allies you're going to be creating and who's going to be able to help you and who's not.
Jethro asked, did they have non-competition agreements back then?
Oh, no way. There was so little money in comics at the time. Most of these guys were working for Marvel and DC at this, because I don't think the companies could be like that controlling, because there just wasn't that kind of money in there.
Khan says, this was very encouraging, Art.
Oh, I'm glad. And I think it segued, or that the portfolio review segued into it. So I hope everybody that was, watching the portfolio review, followed me through this. And if you guys want to see this more, or maybe I can just attach these to the portfolio review so you guys can tune out as soon as the portfolio review is done, if I talk too much. But I think that this is encouraging. I think this is fun, and Taylor seems to like the story. So
yeah, Art has a ton of good stories. I don't know if we can tell them all, but Art has a ton of great stories about the indie biz and the old days of San Diego, and there's all kinds of industry stuff that I think you guys would really like to hear. So if you want to hear some more tales from Boomertown, definitely let us know in the comments and in the chat, because we can make this a regular thing. And I think they're really entertaining. Art's had a really interesting career as far as comics, and I think if you're an aspiring artist, you'll really enjoy them as well.
I have a ton of fun telling the stories, as long as, like I said, I'm not like, boring your.
Oh yeah, we got an overwhelming yes from the chat.
Hey, do me a favor, guys. Write it into the comments too, because that'll be encouraging. So if you could please write into the comments and say more or less. Do not thumbs up. Well, you can thumbs up, but don't thumbs down, because that will screw me in YouTube with YouTube. So yeah, in the comments, just say, you don't have to write a lot, just yes or no. And then I'll know if I should continue this, or maybe if I should keep them attached to the portfolio reviews, or do them as their own show. Because one of the things Taylor and I are trying to do is try to build content. I want to do something with Taylor too, where she leads. So I haven't even mentioned that to her, but I would like to do something where Taylor gets to lead, and we can talk about her interests as well. Because one of the things is we want to entertain you, but entertain you in a way that's connected to comic books, and contained to what we're doing, and I think that you guys, will get something out of it that way. So these aren't going to be stories about, I don't know, cooking or car maintenance or anything like that.
That would be cool if you guys made it your own series. Yeah, just let us know in the comments, and we can we'll make a designated Boomertown time slot if you guys want to hear more.
Also, like, okay, we have Boomertown, and then we have, I was thinking Boom, There It Is, or Boomer, There It Is. That's also a timely reference that only old people will, And then what was the title of this one? I keep forgetting.
This one was, oh gosh, I forget what we labeled the review.
Boom, Tales from a Boomer.
Booming into, I don't remember.
Booming into comics, or
Boomin' Out Loud, or
Boomin'
something?
Out Loud, yeah. So if you guys have also suggestions for what the show could be called, help, yeah, help. So so thanks guys for tuning in. If you haven't heard, we have an Indiegogo, black and white. I haven't even looked at it today. I think we're 9 days away.
Yeah, I believe
from
so.
the finale. And one of the things Taylor and I wanted to stress is, you know what, I'm gonna let her tell it because I'm about the you know where I'm going with it, about the in demand.
Okay, so we're kind of debating whether or not we're gonna make the campaign go into in demand once it's over. As of right now, we're kind of leaning towards not. So when this campaign is over, so is your chance to pick up the first volume of the book. So if you're waiting on backing Black and White Remastered, please do it soon. It might be your only chance. And we also have, we have a goal set. So by Friday the 19th, we're hoping to hit 30,000. And when we hit 30,000 by Friday the 19th, we're going to do a drawing of all the backers that have pledged since the beginning of the campaign to that Friday the 19th. And 2 of them are going to get 2 pieces of original artwork. One is the original artwork of the Greg Capullo cover, and another is an opening splash page from issue 2, which is unused in the remastered version. It's highly collectible. These pages are vintage, and there is an original art tier, but neither of these are offered there. So your only way to get them, and just as a way to give back to you guys for helping us reach that goal, is to help us spread the word and reach that 30 by Friday.
Yeah, so it's Friday the 19th,
Friday
I think.
the 19th.
So this coming Friday. So we still have time, but like Taylor said, if you're kind of on the fence, I think we should try to get those pledges in as early as possible so we can make that a reality. One of the things, I've been doing this for a long time. I have a whole closet full of artwork. I call it the T-Bear Vault. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm posting stuff from the T-Bear Vault on there, and I just kind of want to get this artwork into people's hands. And I was thinking this is a great way to do it, since it's black and white. It's about black and white, and that black and white fans are, you know, buying these books and helping support this. That's the fan base that I want to get this artwork into their hands.
Yeah, guys have earned it.
Yeah, that's the people. The true black and white fans are the ones I want to have the Greg Capullo cover. I want the page that was in issue 2 that didn't make the cut for the remastered series. The rarity of that page, I want that to get into your hands. So if there's any black and white fans out there, you know, thank you for supporting. And if you know any black and white fans or RT Bear fans, Taylor Grosso fans, comic fans that would like this type of entertainment, turn them on to the website or the Indiegogo site. And everybody that makes a purchase will be entered into that drawing for those 2 original pieces of artwork. And like I said, they're really, really rare. I've held on to them for 25 years, and I've never made black and white artwork available before. So we do have a tier where we're selling 5 pages from the original series. So that's even pretty rare that you'll have access to that. This will not go in my store. These will not be available anywhere else other than this campaign. So just to recap, there's 5 pages of original artwork. And with that, what do they get, Taylor?
Okay, so the 5 pages original artwork. And by the way, if you guys want to see those, we just posted a video. I think it's a video for this one where you can see those pages.
Is that in the updates?
It's in the updates, and it's also on our YouTube channel. But check the updates on the Indiegogo, and that's our latest update. And you also get... So you get the original artwork, and the original artwork is from the original series. Then you get a print of the remastered version of that page, and there will be a remark on it. If you don't know what a remark is, there will be like a small sketch of either black or white on that print. So it's a pretty good deal. You also get your copy of the remastered book, of course, and that all comes in that package. And it's only available for 5 people. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, this is New York from 19 probably 79 or 80.
Wow. Come and meet those dancing feet.
This is Times Square, believe it or not.
Oh
This
my
looks like it's from the
gosh.
50s, right?
Yes.
This Coca-Cola sign, I'm sorry, we're going off on a tangent. I forgot I had Taylor posted this stuff. That was like crazy to see that thing.
Wow.
This is where Dick Clark always has the New Year's Eve where the ball would come down.
How much it's changed.
Oh, there's the street. There's 46.
I remember that from Superman 2, says James S.
Yeah. Oh, this is that street fair.
That's where the books and stuff.
Yeah, the books and everything. Yeah. So there she is.
Aww.
And look at the cars.
Wow.
I'm old.
That's a cool building.
I think that's, oh gosh, what is that? It's not Union Station. What the hell? I know the name of that building. I can't remember now.
It's very beautiful.
It's a tunnel. You can drive right through it. You can drive right through the building. It's pretty cool. Gosh, what is that? Is the other side Rockefeller Center? I don't remember.
New Yorkers, where are you?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've been in New York City. So this is from the rooftop of the apartment.
Yeah, we scanned all these. There's more, but we scanned a few to show you guys. I think they're really cool. That's cool.
That's from across, I guess, Battery Park over. Yeah, so yeah, I'm sorry. I just kind of like.
Thanks for joining us for
derailed.
Art's origin story today.
Yeah, thanks guys, and tune in for future episodes of. We have Versus. We have what is one of the other newer ones we have? We have Versus, and then we have
Hacks React when news comes about. And then we have these.
Oh, Kiss Corner.
Yes, and Kiss Corner. Kiss Corner is
Gosh,
coming
how
up
could we
soon.
forget? Yeah, we may have John Malin coming in, and as always, we'll have Scott Palacios as the Kisstorian, and to give our all the backstories on the Kiss characters. So, anyways, guys, if you haven't checked out the Indiegogo, please do so. Thanks for tuning in. Like Taylor said, she's going to have a link for future portfolios. So send your artwork in, and what is it?
Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And let us know in the comments if you'd like more Tales from Boomertown.
Yes, thanks, guys.